broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to Google Sheets and Solve Report Builder. My name is Nathan. We're going to take you through all you need to know about the Solve Report Builder add-on for Google Sheets, how to set it up, a couple reports you can build, and then at the very end, I will take a few questions. So before we dive into how to do anything, I want to give you a few examples of what Report Builder reports look like in Google Sheets. So I've got two here for you today. Number one is a sales funnel. And a sales funnel is a historical look at how many clients got to a certain stage of your sales process. Okay, so you can see all of the stages here are laid out numerically and how many people got to each stage, and then our funnel with a visual representation is set here as well as a chart. Okay. Now I want to show you one more report that we've built, and this is a quarterly sales by source report. So the point of a quarterly sales by source report is to take all of the many different sources of sales you have and total their revenue by quarter. So as you can see here, we've broken this down for 2016. There's our three sources of sales, and you can see each one is numerically sorted. And then you've got your chart here. So in the background is the total sales, and then each line is each different source of sales. So this is great if you're a seasonal business or you just want to track revenue trends by different sources. Okay. Now, both of these reports were built with data that you have already collected and are keeping track of in your Solve account. So if I flip over to my sheet number one, you can see I pulled all this data from my Solve account, and then I've summarized it exactly how I want it to look using the Report Builder add-on in Google Sheets. So that's exactly what we're going to do here today. I'm going to show you how to set up some data in Solve so that you can use it to create reports. We're going to go ahead and show you how to set up the add-on in Google Sheets, the free add-on, so that you can get using it. And then we're going to create two reports together. We're going to create a sales pipeline report and a sales team performance report. Okay, and these will just be some examples to give you an idea, and we'll take you through all of the process of setting things up and show you just how quick and easy that is so that you can customize reports that are specific to your business. Okay. So without further ado, I'd like to hop over to my Solve account now. And you'll see I have in front of me a contact record already. We'll be using Mr. James Bond as our example here today. What we're going to do is we're going to talk about the sales pipeline report first. Okay, so I'm going to set up all the data we need in Solve to create a sales pipeline report. Now, a sales pipeline report is a look at your current status of your sales pipeline. Okay, so it's where each client is in the pipeline right now, and it helps you identify what you need to do to move the clients to the next step, and which stages of your pipeline are full or need to be refilled or focused on. Okay. So the first thing you need to do is create a pipeline. Now on Mr. Bond, I have created two fields that help me create this pipeline. I have a sales status, which tells me whether the lead is active, dead, or postponed. And I have a sales stage, which helps me locate which part of the pipeline process they're in. So if I just click on this to edit it, I'm going to scroll on down here. And there you can see the stages. You can see that I've created 6 different stages for my pipeline. And this is from a new lead all the way through to a client. Now, these are just examples. You can set this up however you want it to be to match your pipeline process. But remember that the idea is that we're pushing people up the pipeline so that they become clients. So if that means having fewer steps so that they get to clients sooner, or if you have many steps, having very defined steps, we'll leave that up to you to set up. But these are our 6 examples, so we're going to leave Mr. Bond as qualified. And the last thing I want to show you is just how to set up these fields in Solve. If you've never set one up before, you can create these fields to be custom however you want, and you can do that simply by going to the gear icon, which is our settings icon. And the admin will have access to a customize form fields option just by scrolling down. From here, you can create new custom fields by hitting the plus in the top right, or you can scroll down, find your existing ones, and simply edit them. So there's my sales status and sales stage. I tap on any one, I can title it whatever I want, and I can add the fields that I want to show up. Okay, so you have lots of choices and options there to set up your multi-select fields to match your process. Okay. Now, once you have your fields set up and you've recorded some of the sales status and sales stage information on a few different records, you're ready to build a report using this data. So what we're going to do now is we're going to head over to our Google Drive, and I'm going to go ahead and create a new Google spreadsheet. So just tap New, Google Sheets, and create away. Now the first thing we want to do when the spreadsheet opens up is just title it so that it's easy to find in the future in case we have to leave or come back to this work a little bit later. So I will call this a sales pipeline report. Okay. Now once we've titled it, the second step will be to make sure we have the add-on for Solve Report Builder connected with Google and ready to go. So to find any add-on in Google, simply go to the add-ons menu and go to the Get Add-ons option. Okay? This will open up a little storefront window and you simply type in whatever it is you're looking for. So in this case, we're looking for Solve, so I'm going to type Solve there and hit Enter. It's going to pull all the Solve related add-ons. Okay? Now the Solve Report Builder is the first one here. You can see I've already got it added because of the green checkmark and green Manage icons here. But if you have not previously added the Solve Report Builder, you'll see a little plus free icon. Simply clicking that and following any of the instructions it gives you will allow this to connect to your Google account or add this add-on to your Google account. Now once it's added, you're going to see it show up in your add-ons menu. And the first time you go to run your report, or customize a report, I should say, you're going to be asked to verify which Solve account would you like to connect this report builder to so you can pull the correct data. Okay? Now I've already done this, so I'm just going to go ahead and hit Customize Report. It's going to open up the report builder tool here on the right. And then it's going to ask you what kind of report would you like to build. So in this case, we want to build a sales pipeline and we want to see all of the pipeline for all of the different contacts we've met. Okay, so I'm going to select contacts here and I'm going to go ahead and select accept. And now it's going to ask me for this report, what records would you like to show? What contact records would you like to show in this report? So this is simple, just go ahead and add criteria. And we want to show all the contact records with those two custom fields we created, sales stage and sales status. Okay, so I'm going to go to custom field. I'm going to go down till I find sales stage. Select that. I'm going to select one last thing, which is not empty. And what is not empty means is that there is data in this field on the record, so it's not going to pull a record that has a blank or empty one of these fields. Okay, so I'm going to go is not empty, accept, and you'll see there's our custom field sales stage is not empty. We'll do the same thing to add a criteria for our sales status. So I will go add criteria, custom field. I'm going to scroll down to find sales status, select that, and again select is not empty to make sure there's data in those fields. Okay. So now I'm going to pull all contact records that have custom fields with the sales stage that are not empty and custom fields with sales status that are not empty. Now the last thing I want to do is define what I want to show in my columns of this report. So under the columns, I'm going to open that up. And here I would like to show the same two custom fields in my columns, sales stage and sales status. So where it says custom fields, I will hit the pencil to edit. And I will simply select sales stage and sales status from the list. Okay. Hit accept. Once you've done this, everything else can be left as default. All you have to do is scroll on down and tap Run Report. And what it's going to do is the report builder is going to dive into your Solve account, retrieve the data, and drop it here, shazam, so that you can use it and create reports out of it. Now you're probably looking at all this data and thinking, wow, this is quite a bit of data. What do I actually do with this? How do I create a report that's usable out of it? And I'm going to give you two methods here today. The first is to use a little feature in Google already, and that's the Explore feature. Tapping on Explore will take a look at the data you have and provide some options for possible reports or tables that you can build out of them. So you can see simply by hovering over any given thing, it will show you which data it's using to create the pivot table or chart. So here is a pivot table counting all of the unique leads, prospects, qualifieds, so on and so forth. Here's a little bit of a bar chart showing each one. We've got a pie chart, and again, you can see this is for sales status and this one's for sales stage. So you've got an idea. You can simply select any one of these, drag it into your report, and away you go. Now, for us, I want to create a custom report because I have something in mind. So I'm going to go ahead and close the Explore option, and we're going to go ahead and create a custom report out of this data. So the first thing I want to do is select the data I want to create the report with. So I'm going to highlight the sales status and sales stage feeds, columns. And then I'm going to go up to the data menu, and I want to summarize this data in a pivot table. Okay, so I'm going to summarize it numerically using that tool. So I'm going to go Data and select the Pivot Table option. Now what this will do is it's going to open up a pivot table in another tab for me. I'm going to simply close out of my Report Builder tool and click on the Pivot Table, which will bring up the Pivot Table Editor tools. From here, I can select what data I want to put in the pivot table, and I can easily manipulate it around if I want to play with it and see it from different angles. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is go ahead and under the rows, I'm going to add my sales status. Okay, so you'll see them show up there. And then along the columns, I want to put my sales stages. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and add sales stage. Perfect. Now the last thing I want to do is I want to count every active lead and every active prospect, and I want to fill those numbers in here to get an idea of my pipelines, my active, dead, and postponed pipelines. Okay. So to do that, I'm going to go to Values, and I'm going to go Add Sales Stage. And you can see that it automatically is put in to count all of the records in each of the sections of the grid. So perfect, now I have an idea of my pipeline. My total of all three pipelines is here. I can see the total number in each of my pipelines or each of my stages, okay? So this is a very handy way to get a numerical overview. Now I wanna just focus on certain parts of this pivot table. So I'm going to deselect a few things to simplify it. I don't really need to see the totals. I wanna focus on each individual part of the pipeline. So I'm gonna deselect the show totals for now. And I'd also like to filter out our client column and just focus on the stages leading up to becoming a client, okay? So to filter something out, go down to where it says Filters, select Add, and we're gonna do the filter for the sales stage. Now where it says All Items, just deselect the one from this list that you don't want to see. So I will deselect the client column, and you'll see it's removed from my pivot table. Now what I'm going to do next is I want to summarize this information visually so I can quickly present it to members of my team to prove my point or just to show them where we're at. To do this, simply select the parts of the graph that you'd like to use, okay? And then head on up to the Insert menu and select the Chart option. Now as soon as you do this, it's going to drop a chart right here on your pivot table. You just move it over so that you can see everything together. And it's going to open up a chart editor window so that you can customize the chart however you want it to look. Okay. So from here, let's choose the type of chart we want. I'm going to start by selecting from the chart type a stacked bar chart, just because I know that's what I want my pivot tables to be. And then I'm going to switch the rows and columns because I'd like my sales status to be along the left and my stages to be along the bottom. Okay, so I'll just switch the rows and columns here. And boom, you can already see we've got our three pipelines, active, dead, postponed pipeline, and a summary of what amount of leads through to closing clients are in each section of that pipeline. Now, if I really want to, I can customize this chart even further by going to the Customize option, and I can customize my axes titles, my chart titles, my colors, my styles, my legends. It's totally up to you. For now, just to give you an idea, I'm going to add some titles to my axes. So along the bottom, we're going to say number of contacts. Okay. And I'll change the vertical axis as well to say sales status. So it's really, really easy to customize these to look however you want them to look. And look, I've got this beautiful, colorful chart that I can now use to present to my team and show them exactly how we're doing with our sales pipeline. All right. Now, one last thing I want to note is that you can move this chart to its own tab if you want to separate it out, simply using the options in the top right of the chart itself. Okay, so move to own sheet will pop this over to its own tab in your Google Sheet section. All right. Now, how simple was that? It took me less than 10 minutes to set up the chart and the pivot tables and the data in my reports. And this is the first time I've ever set one up like this from start to finish. And it didn't take me that much longer to set up the data in Solve either. So if you're already tracking this data, it's really simple to just suck it from Solve, boom, drop it here, and away you go to create a report. Now I'd like to create one more report with you guys today, just to help reinforce the things that we've shown so far. And this report is going to be a sales team performance report. So let's go back to our Solve account. And we're going to use Mr. Bond again here. A sales team performance report tracks all of the opportunities or deals that you've closed in a certain period of time. So to track deals in Solve, you'd simply use this plus icon on any given record and select the deal option. Now I've already got some deals set up on Mr. Bond, and I'm just going to go over to the Manage tab to show you them. So you can see I've got a deal here. It was around selling Mr. Bond some supplies for his Spectre mission. You can see that we've won this deal, and you can see the amount of the deal here and when it was closed. Okay. Now to edit any of these things, just when the deal is opened up, if you've just created this, or you can tap on the deal and tap Edit to open it up. What's important to note is that you want to make sure that you set your status to 1 on the deal to indicate that you've closed it, and that these slider bars are all the way up to 100%, again, indicating that you've closed that deal, okay? You're also wanting to track the date. It's relevant for whatever period of time you're reporting on, and it's important to track who was responsible for closing that deal, okay? Of course, you want to track the amount. That will give you an idea of your sales during that period, okay? Now, once all that's set up and you've created a few deals for a few different records, you're ready to pull that data into a Google Sheet and create a report of it. So once again, let's head over to our Google Drive here. Let's go ahead and create a new Google Sheet. And once this sheet is opened up, we're going to go ahead and title it here. So we'll call this a Sales Team Performance Report. Okay. Now, since we've already added the add-on, I don't have to go ahead and do that again. I simply go to Add-ons, Solve Report Builder, and Customize Report to open up the Report Builder. It's going to connect to Solve once again, and it's going to ask me what type of report do I want to build. I'm going to select from my report types. This time I want to select the Opportunities or Deals report. Okay, so I'll accept that right now. Now you'll notice right off the bat it gives you some different filter options to help you summarize what opportunities you want to pull in. So let's go through these one at a time. I want to pull the deals for all 3 of my record types: contacts, project blogs, and companies. I want to pull opportunities managed by any users on my team. I want to filter them for the status 1. So right now it's not filtering for any status. I want to filter for the status 1, so I'm going to go ahead and tap Edit here. And of course I could pick any of these statuses or multiple of these statuses. In this case, we just want to see the deals we've closed, so we'll select one and hit Accept. And the last thing is, during which period of time do I want to filter for these deals? So I'm going to go ahead and select the pencil here, and I'm going to select between. And I think I've got my opportunities set up for the beginning of the year, January. Of course, you could pick any period of time, but I'll just filter for January 1st to January 30th here, or 31st, I guess. Accept. Great. So once again, I'm pulling all my deals for contacts, project blogs, companies, or from contacts, project blogs, and companies managed by any user on my team that we've won during the period of January 1st to 31st. Okay, really straightforward. Under my columns, what data would I like to show in each column? So I'm going to select columns here, and I'm going to select two standard fields that I want to show that are important to this report. So select the pencil. I want to show the value of each opportunity. Of course, we want to see how much money we made in this period of time or each user closed. And then I also want to select which user was responsible for closing those deals. So let's go ahead and tap the responsible column here and accept. Everything else can be left as default, so go ahead and scroll on down and select Run Report. It's going to go ahead and retrieve the data from your Solve account. And alakazam, there it is, all there for you. Now again, I could use my Explore option to summarize this, but I'm just going to go ahead and create some custom report off of this. The first thing I want to do is just add some visual cues using Google's tools already here. So I'm going to just add a currency formatter. I'm up in Canada, so we're going to put this in Canadian dollars today. And then I'm going to remove the decimal places here just to simplify things a little bit. Now I want to focus on two parts of this data, the users that are responsible and the value of the deal. So I'm just going to go ahead and select these two things. And I'm going to go ahead and go to my data menu and summarize this in a pivot table. So data, pivot table. Now again, close out of your report builder tool and select the pivot table to open up that pivot table editor. First thing we want to do, open up the columns or open up what we want to show in the rows. And here we want to put the users that were responsible for closing the deal. So I'm going to go add and responsible. Boom. There's our users on our team. Now we want to know how much they closed. In this case, I don't even need a column header to show this. I'm just going to go straight to values and go add potential value. And it's adding or summing together all of the different opportunities each user had for the month and giving me a grand total. So I can see exactly how each user did and the grand total of sales in the period of time. How cool is that? How simple is that to do? Now in this case, again, I want to keep things simple. I want to focus on each user. So I'm going to deselect our show totals. And then I want to filter out one user just to make things even simpler and remind you how to use the filter tools. We're going to go ahead down to add. Under filters, we're going to go to where it says responsible. And we are going to deselect, we'll pick the, one of the middle people here. Maybe we will remove George Michael here just for fun, okay? So boom, there we go. We have 3 people we're going to focus on building a report around. I'm ready to create a visual representation of this, so let's go ahead and highlight all this data. I'm going to go ahead and go to Insert and select the chart option to drop it right here in my sheet. Boom. Of course, it's going to drop it how it suggests. Here's a pie chart. We can summarize this however we want, and I want to use a special type of chart today. I want to use a gauge chart. So just tap where it says Chart Type, scroll down until you find the gauge chart, and select that. Now the gauge chart helps me see exactly where everybody is in the sales process. So let's say by going over to the Customize options, we're going to start by customizing the gauge ranges. So let's say that in a given period of time, nobody ever sells more than $45,000 worth of sales. I'm going to go ahead and go between 0 and 45,000 for our gauge range. Okay. Now we'll set up the lower end of the gauges, so we'll say between 0 and 20,000 for our lower end. Okay. Let's say between 20,000 and actually, let's go between 25,000 at the bottom end here. We'll keep this simpler. We'll say between 25,000 and 35,000 for our mid-range. And our upper range can be between $35,000 and $45,000. Okay. So you can see the colors are added in, and you can quickly, at a glance, see exactly where your users fall in their sales for the given period of time. How cool is that? All right, and now you feel free to customize whatever else you want about your chart styles or types or gauge ranges or colors, axes titles, any of that stuff is available for you to customize here using Google. And just summarizing the data you already have in Solve in a simple method so that you can easily report or see what it is you need for your business. Okay, so I have just under 5 minutes here left. I'd like to answer any questions now from the audience. So if you have any questions, take a look at your toolbar there. There is a little chat window. You can drop them in and send them to us. And now I've actually got a member of my team here with me, Abs, from our engineering department, and he's going to take a look at the questions and pass them along to me so I can answer them for you. So Abs, welcome aboard.
Hey, Nathan. Hey, everybody. All right. So I got a question here for you. If I make a change in Solve, how does that affect the Google Sheets report?
Great question. Now, this is actually a really common question. So what we're going to do is I'm going to use an example right now, make a change in Solve, and then we'll show you how to update it here in our report. Okay. So let's go over to our Solve account. We'll use Terry Black here. Let's say when I entered this data, I actually made a mistake and entered the wrong amount. So I'm just going to tap on it right now and tap Edit. And I'm going to go ahead and change the amount. So we're going to say that I sold $20,000 of material for Bond's Spectre mission. Now, as soon as I tap the check mark, you'll see that it's updated here in Solve. And now I want to make sure that this information is reflected in my report. So let's head back to our sales team performance report. And the first thing I want to do is make sure I bring up the report builder tool. So I'm just going to close out of the chart and pivot table editors, and I'm going to go to the add-ons and once again open up our customize report tool. Okay. Now you'll notice when this opens up, it takes a second, but it's going to load in all of the data that you've previously used to create this report. Okay. So now all we have to do is refresh the report. So scroll on down and you'll find a settings option here. Now the settings option gives you a few different tools to help you refresh the report automatically. Okay, so you can automatically run the report. Never if you don't want to run the report on its own. You can set it to run hourly or you can set it to run daily. And what that'll mean is it will refresh the report to look for new data in Solve. It'll drop a little timestamp in your title so you know when the report was last refreshed, and you can quickly see exactly the updated data. Now, if you want to refresh manually, the first thing you're going to want to do is just check where you're refreshing. Okay, so right now what's going to happen is if I were to run this report, it's going to drop all the data I'm asking for on the active sheet or the sheet that I'm looking at right over top of everything I've already built. Okay, so I want to make sure that I'm going to drop this data to my data sheet, and then everything I've built off of that data sheet will update. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to make sure I change this to sheet number 1. And then we're going to go ahead and run the report. And I want you guys to watch Terry Black, that's who we updated, and just watch his gauge there. So we're going to go ahead and run report. Boom, look at that. There's that extra $10,000. Terry's up to $43,000 in sales, and away we go. We've got an updated report. Okay, so absolutely you can change something in Solve, and you can refresh your report either manually or have it automatically run during a given period of time. Excellent. Abs, we got any other questions there I can answer?
Awesome, Nathan. Thanks for that. So I have a question here. How often do you see reporting that is used for client services, example, maintenance of accounts versus sales funnel?
Great question. So the wonderful thing about these reports is we've seen all kinds of different creative reports, lots for client services. We have people that just want to track different client records, see them all side by side, report all of that data, just to funnel and see a certain amount of data, maybe how much of a product they've sold, or all of those kind of things come up quite often. And you do have the flexibility to create whatever report you want, right? So don't limit yourself simply to the deals reports or the pipeline reports we've been creating here. You can report on activities in Solve, so this could be your tasks or your follow-ups. You could report on projects that you're working on or companies that you're working with. And you can report on any aspect of the data really that you created in Solve, pull it into Google Sheets and play around with it to build whatever report you want. So yeah, we see it across all the different industries. Abs, did you want to add anything on there?
No, it's just a question of taking advantage of the flexibility of what Google Sheets offers. So basically, if the data is there in Solve, very likely you can pull it into a spreadsheet interface and just run wild with it. There's no restriction.
Yeah. And if you do want to get an idea of how to maybe create a certain report, feel free to drop us a line. This actually transitions really well to wrapping this up. Feel free to drop us a line just by heading over to our Solve page and tapping up on the help section at the top. And just fill in the data fields here. One of our support team will reach back out to you and see if they can provide some advice or guidance on the reports you want to set up. Okay, so lots of options there. And if you're really stuck or you really want more guidance further, you can reach out to us as well, and we can connect you with solution partners that will consult with you and set you up with reports that are specific to your team's business. So again, just drop us a line and we can get you some more details there. Okay. Now I do see that we have a couple other questions there. So maybe I will take one more before we wrap up here. Abs, what do we got?
Sounds good. So I have a question here which says, if I automatically run the report daily, where does it go?
Great question. If you automatically run the report daily, what it will do is it will take your report here, it will update it, and it will just drop a new timestamp on it. So if you want to keep your old reports so that it doesn't run over top of them, what I would suggest is to go into your report and create a duplicate of it so that you have one for the particular date. Okay. This is a live report, so if you set it to update, it will update right over top of the data that you already have with the new data. Okay, so if you're looking for a historical report, go ahead, just go into your menus up at the top and create or make a new copy of the report before it updates. Okay, great question. Okay, guys, if you do have more questions, you can reach out to us by heading over to our website and dropping us a line there. We will stick around for a few moments after the demonstration is over just to take some questions in the chat window there and make sure you guys have all the answers you need. I want to take just a minute here to wrap up. If you are looking for the information that we covered here today in written form so that you can walk through it step by step, no problem. Head on over to our Solve website. Scroll on down till you find the flexible reporting box and tap on more. This will take you through a feature summary of Google Sheets and all of the things it can do. And if you scroll down a little bit more, you can create a report or get examples of reports simply by tapping on Let's Create a Report. This will run you through all of the reports that we talked about today, including the two examples. So if I scroll on down here, there's our sales pipeline report. We've got a sales funnel report. We've got our sales team performance report and our quarterly sales by source report as well. It will also tell you how to set up the Solve Report Builder add-on for Google Sheets. So check that out here. And it will take you through with images how to set this up. Now, the wonderful thing about Solve Client Manager is you can open this up on your phone. So you can set up all the data in Solve on your phone, create the report, and once you've got the report, you can pull it up in your Google Sheets or Google Drive on your phone to take a look at, okay? And so have those reports automatically run and then pull up an analysis quickly wherever you happen to be, okay? That's great. One last thing I want to mention, and I've already mentioned it before, if you have any questions or you want to find out about a special custom report that might be specific to your business, don't hesitate to drop us a line. Head on over to our Solve website and make sure to send us in a message so that our support team can reach out to you and get you the answers you need to keep on going with your day-to-day business. All right. Thank you, everybody, for coming out today. You've been an awesome audience. I really appreciate all of the questions and interactions here today. Again, we will take a look at the chat window there and make sure we answer any that are left over there. So if you do have a few more, pop them in there. Otherwise, have yourself a fantastic rest of the day, and I will see you guys on Solve. Cheers for now.